The film unfolds amidst a tempestuous night as officers urgently inform the constable of a ship blown in by the raging storm. Advancing towards the vessel, they encounter Fletcher, the lightman, who, clutching a mysterious book, reveals he ventured aboard to check for survivors. Intrigued, the constable inspects the captain's log and discovers a chilling warning. The ominous message speaks of abandonment, desperate attempts to halt an impending threat, and a plea for divine mercy. Flashback to 4 weeks earlier in Varna, Bulgaria, where the Demeter awaits departure to England. Captain Elliot recruits his first mate, Mr. Wojciech, to recruit crew members. Among the volunteers is Clemens, an educated man and Cambridge University graduate claiming to be a doctor. Despite initial skepticism, Wojciech's opinion changes when Clemens saves Toby, Elliot's grandson, from a potentially fatal accident involving a crate marked with a dragon symbol. Romani men who delivered mysterious crates hastily depart as the crew loads the ship, uttering ominous wishes for good luck. Elliot expresses gratitude to Clemens and welcomes him aboard. The ship sets sail, leaving the Romani men crossing themselves in anticipation of the impending journey. Toby introduces Clemens to the ship, including his loyal dog Huck, livestock, and the galley where they meet Joseph, the cook. In a heartfelt conversation, Captain Elliot confides in Wojciech about his decision to make this his final voyage, vowing to secure a future for Toby away from the sea. Elliot plans to designate Wojciech as his successor upon reaching London. During dinner with the crew, Elliot announces a bonus for a timely arrival in England. The crew members share their plans for the extra earnings, with Clemens wanting to continue his education and unravel the world's mysteries. Abruptly, Huck's barking draws attention to the cargo hold. Clemens, Toby, and Huck investigate, discovering disturbed animals and an ominous noise. Concerned, Clemens dispatches Toby to fetch the captain and tell him something fell in the cargo hold. After Toby departs, Clemens investigates the cargo hold and discovers an overturned crate with a pile of dirt on the floor. Within the dirt, he finds a cloth, and to his astonishment, a girl emerges as something stirs beneath. Quickly bringing her above deck, Clemens informs the crew that she is below deck and begins examining her. Wojciech questions if they should help her, but Captain Elliot defers to Clemens, who diagnoses her with an infection, necessitating a blood transfusion. As Clemens begins the transfusion, a crate in the cargo hold opens, revealing a mysterious creature. Wojciech suggests disposing of the girl once she wakes up, but Clemens, adamant about saving her, proposes dropping them off at the next port. Wojciech, concerned about forfeiting the bonus wage, argues against stopping. Captain Elliot intervenes, suggesting repurposing the carpenter's shed as the girl's quarters, with Clemens sharing his rations with her. Later, Clemens entrusts Toby with watching over the girl, instructing him to alert him or the captain if anyone tries to approach her. Meanwhile, Olgren spots the creature on the ship, only for it to disappear. Clemens, noticing soil and maggots on the floor, suspects Olgren's involvement. When Clemens attempts to approach Olgren, the creature vanishes again. Leaving the ship's wheel, Clemens knocks on the ledge to get Olgren's attention, hearing a response from the other side. As Clemens moves towards the sound, Olgren unexpectedly appears behind him, claiming he saw something. Clemens dismisses it, but Olgren insists there's a presence on the deck. Simultaneously, Huck investigates noises from the cargo hold, barking at a moving shadow, only to become the first victim of Dracula. Joseph discovers Huck's lifeless body and hurries to check the livestock, finding them brutally killed. Alerting the crew and Captain Elliot, suspicions arise. Petrovsky blames the girl, citing the superstition that a woman on board brings bad luck, while Clemens considers the possibility of rabies. Elliot expresses concern about a potential outbreak, questioning Clemens about the possibility of humans contracting the infection. Clemens assures him that humans can only get infected through a bite. Upon hearing this, Elliot instructs Wojciech to discard the meat immediately. This infuriates Petrovsky, who argues that it wasn't rabies that unlocked the livestock cages. He then insults Clemens and a woman on board. When Clemens tries to respond, Larson threatens him with a knife. At this point, Olgren reveals the presence of a formidable evil on the ship. In the meantime, a creature lurks in a corner, whispering Anna's name. Later, Clemens comforts Toby, who feels guilty and upset since he is responsible for the livestock. Clemens reassures him that things are beyond their control and they can only do their best. That night, Olgren warns Clemens about an unnatural presence on the ship, but Clemens dismisses it as superstition. Olgren insists that he saw something the previous night and believes Clemens saw it too. Later, Toby informs Clemens that the woman he identified as Romani, Anna, has been murmuring in her sleep. She keeps repeating the word feed. After some time, Joseph tells Clemens that all the rats on the boat have disappeared. He remarks that a boat without rats is unnatural. Meanwhile, Petrovsky hears strange noises while on watch. He assumes it's Abrams playing a prank. He goes to investigate and is shocked to find the hatch broken. He hears and follows a voice, only to find Dracula crawling weakly on the floor. Petrovsky approaches him with a knife, but Dracula suddenly attacks, slashing his throat. Dracula then licks the blood from the floor. Petrovsky tries to flee, but Dracula catches him, breaks his neck, and drinks his blood while he's still alive. Later, Clemens discovers Petrovsky's knife and blood all over the deck, which frightens him, and he rings the alarm bell. The next day, Wojciech accuses Clemens of the murder, but Clemens defends himself by asking why he would kill and then alert everyone. He tells the captain that he examined the dog's body and found that it wasn't killed in the larder like the other animals. It had similar bite marks on its neck, and its arteries were torn open. At this point, Anna appears and insists they must abandon the ship because he is here. Clemens tries to calm her down, and Wojciech suggests that the captain will say a few words from the Bible and they will carry on. Later, Anna tells Clemens about an evil entity from her village that resides in a mountain castle. It disguises itself as a man to hide its true nature and feeds on innocent blood at night. She reveals that she was offered to this entity, not a man or animal known as Dracula. She shows his bite marks on her body, explaining that Dracula brought her on the ship to feed on her. She warns that now that Dracula is on the ship, they will never be able to leave. Outside, Olgarin tells Larsen that despite the woman appearing harmless, he feels it would have been better to let the ocean take her. He then thinks about his daughter. As Larsen lights a lamp, he senses Dracula's presence behind him, but when he turns around, there's no one there. As he walks back, he hears knocking. Olgarin approaches him and asks why he's knocking, and then they both hear the knocking sound. With knives drawn, Larsen and Olgarin prepare for the unseen threat, but Dracula ambushes Larsen, smashing his face on the floor. Terrified, Olgarin climbs to escape, prompting the ship to become imbalanced. The crew rushes to regain control, discovering Larsen missing. Clemens notices blood dripping on Toby, and they find Olgarin unconscious with a forehead wound. They bring him down and ask about Larsen, but Olgarin wakes screaming in fear. They restrain him, treat his wounds, and notice a bite on his neck similar to those on the animals in Anna. Clemens dismisses the idea of a devil but acknowledges a real threat. Elliot orders increased watchmen and tasks Wojciech with searching the ship. As night falls, Olgarin transforms into a vampire and frees himself. Toby encounters him, realizing his unnatural state, and locks himself in the captain's quarter. Olgarin attempts to break in, terrorizing Toby. Hearing knocks, Clemens finds Olgarin outside, no longer himself. Olgarin attacks, but Wojciech intervenes. Toby, inside the captain's quarter, faces Dracula. The crew tries to break in, but Dracula disappears. Anna attempts to blow the lock, but Dracula bites Toby before she can intervene. Clemens starts a blood transfusion using Elliot's blood to save Toby. The crew ties Olgarin to the mast, and he reveals heightened senses and an aversion to sunlight. At sunrise, Olgarin catches fire, forcing Wojciech to end his suffering. Joseph sees it as punishment for their sins, and tensions rise as Wojciech assigns watches. Joseph warns of Toby's potential transformation, but Clemens considers the transfusion's success with Anna. The crew fears the dark forces at play, realizing that whatever afflicted Olgarin may also affect Toby, raising the stakes for the desperate struggle against the supernatural on the haunted ship. As tensions rise, Clemens contemplates the grim reality they face. Wojciech hands him a gun, urging him to look Dracula in the eye when the time comes. Clemens clarifies his intention to find a way to save Toby rather than resorting to violence. Meanwhile, driven by fear, Joseph knocks out Abrams and attempts to escape on a lifeboat. Clemens and Anna open all the crates, discovering dirt inside. The crate containing Dracula has a special mechanism, allowing him to elude them by sleeping during the day. They also find an ornate cane with a dragon head, realizing its significance. Dracula's voice terrifies Joseph as Dracula emerges and sits on his boat, leaving behind a trail of blood. Abrams alerts the crew about Joseph's disappearance, revealing only blood in the lifeboat. Toby's condition worsens despite the transfusions. Prepared to bury him at sea, they discover he's alive but fully turned. Toby, exposed to sunlight, catches fire, forcing them to throw his burning body into the water. Approaching England, the crew fears bringing the creature ashore. Anna suggests sinking the ship with Dracula on it. Clemens proposes an ambush and escapes on a lifeboat. Wojciech, initially reluctant, decides to do it himself. They barricade the hold, leaving one way for Dracula to exit. Clemens informs Captain Elliot, who insists on documenting the events. Desperate to bring Toby back, Elliot contemplates shooting Clemens but is dissuaded by Anna. That night, Anna steers the ship while Wojciech and Abrams, armed with guns, keep watch. A thick fog descends as the fatal storm begins. Dracula appears, flying and attacking with bat-like agility. He removes Abrams, and Wojciech, realizing the danger, tries to descend from the crow's nest. As Wojciech descends from the crow's nest, he gets attacked by Dracula, causing him to fall through the deck and break his leg. Clemens instructs Anna to free the lifeboat while he searches for Wojciech and Captain Elliot. Wojciech, in a desperate attempt to sink the ship, breaks it with an axe, but Dracula arrives and kills him. Captain Elliot ties himself to the wheel, attempting to defy Dracula, but he succumbs to the vampire's attack. Clemens finds the captain half dead, frees him, and receives Elliot's dying wish to let everyone know he stayed true to his trust. Enraged, Clemens challenges Dracula, prompting a confrontation. Dracula, spreading his wings, throws Clemens away but is shot by Anna. As Dracula lunges at Anna, Clemens attacks with an axe. They attempt to escape, but Dracula grabs Clemens by the throat. Defiant, Clemens declares he doesn't fear Dracula, who vows he will. However, before Dracula can feed on him, Anna cuts the mast, pinning Dracula down. Clemens and Anna jump ship just as the Demeter crashes ashore in England. The lighthouse crew discovers the wreckage, and Dracula flees. As the sun rises, Clemens and Anna cling to floating wreckage. Clemens witnesses Anna slowly reverting to vampirism but offers to save her. She refuses, content with helping destroy the evil creature. Anna immolates herself as Clemens watches helplessly. The tragic tale of the Demeter spreads through the town. Clemens, haunted by the experience, goes to a local pub and inquires about Carfax Abbey, the intended destination for the crates. He hears familiar knocking sounds similar to those the ship's crew used for signaling. Clemens spots the cane with the dragon's head banging on the floor and sees Dracula kneeling under a dark hat. Determined, Clemens vows to pursue and send Dracula back to hell, setting the stage for a continuing battle against the forces of darkness.